1.
Good evening. Apologies. Welcome to the regular meeting of the Select Board for Tuesday, September 20th. If you are here with us in the hearing room, please silence your cell phones. Should we do announcements again?
That's where we left off.
That's where we left.
Okay. Want to welcome Chaz Carey, our new town administrator, in case that was not made clear to our listening captive audience. Welcome.
Thank you.
And we will go to Miriam and then Bernard.
I don't remember what I was gonna say.
Okay,
Just go to
we'll go to Bernard.
I do remember the audio, that's all. Okay, thank you. I want to acknowledge the many emails we've received concerning the Pierce School project. As you know, I'm co-chair of the school building committee.
What?
And I hear the pleas of residents,
Yeah.
including parents of Pierce children who support the project and don't want further delays in getting it underway. My main concern, however, is assuming that the MSBA doesn't get tired of us and move to another community, is the additional cost of
Yeah.
waiting until May to put the debt exclusion on the ballot. Is he referring to
Just,
that?
no, keep going.
We are under tremendous pressure from the community, including from this board and the advisory committee, to cut the cost of the project to below $200 million, and we did that without significantly impacting the educational program. A May election will add more than $4 million to the cost, according to our project team. Where will we find that money? Further cuts will slash more into muscle and bone than we already have cut. It makes the possibility of geothermal wells more remote as an alternate, where we ask for bids that include the wells and hope that market conditions have improved to the point that the total bids, including the wells, will be under $200 million. So in summary, $4 million is a lot of money, and that's the cost of delay. Thank you.
Miriam?
Yeah. Thank you. I just want to actually say, what a fabulous time I had at Brookline Day. It was really just packed with people. The weather was great. Nori thoroughly enjoyed herself. And it was great to see everybody who is here was there. And I just want to thank everybody for all of their hard work for Brookline Day. It was really fun.
And thank you to my board for wearing all of their t-shirts that I
Yes,
got them.
we did.
Mike?
Thanks, Heather. I think some viewers may know, some residents may know that we had a workshop, an offsite workshop for the select board, for the town administrator, and some of the senior town staff that I think went very well as a start. It was facilitated by Jeff Nutting, who was our temporary town clerk. And Jeff did a really good job of keeping us on time and on track. And then Chaz put together a list of, okay, here are the things that we agreed that we needed to do. And we've actually gotten started. And I think the next town school partnership meeting will be a platform for getting some of these things moved forward. And then we will need undoubtedly a follow-up workshop that I think will probably aim for December. But I want to thank all my colleagues and tell the members of the public that if they want to tune into the town school partnership, they'll begin to see the fruits of that workshop.
Great. John?
Thank you very much. Just a terrific time this past weekend, celebrating both Porch Fest on Saturday and then, excuse me, Brookline Day on Sunday. And want to thank everybody who turned out. Thank all of our department people who pitched in to make the first Brookline Day at Coolidge Corner just a resounding success, an amazing success. It took a lot of effort, and I think it's given us a great. The success of it encourages us to think even more about events like that in the future, which I think would also be a great thing. And I'm going to mention one event that is actually occurring this very month. It's not a calendar month so much as the month from excuse me, September 15th to October 15th, which is officially National Hispanic Heritage Month. So I just want to say that for the next 30 days or so, that's National Hispanic Heritage Month. To all of those who claim Hispanic heritage, it's a particularly important time of year, and it's filled with a lot of special events in the greater Boston area. The Boston Globe happened to have a pretty good piece summing up what the events are that are coming up in the next 30 days or so. So check out the Boston Globe, events at the Museum of Fine Arts, street events, film events, and more. And a particularly important month to acknowledge, I think. So I'm happy to acknowledge it here tonight.
Great. Any, Miriam?
I just want to say happy holidays to those who are celebrating Chag Sameach as the Jewish holidays come up.
Great. Bernard?
I just want to make one little comment. Everyone knows I'm not a biker, but for Brookline Day, I did ride my bike to
Ooh.
Coolidge Corner. However, I couldn't find a place to attach it and, you know, to tie it up to. So I think we need to think about putting more bike racks in areas such as Coolidge Corner, because there's this big push to get people to ride their bikes, but you know, if we don't have bike racks, people are going to be discouraged from doing it. So.
Great idea, Bernard.
There's a history to that goes back about some distance, about 20 years. And I can help you with that. So.
And if we weren't running 45 minutes behind, we'd all love to hear it.
No, you really wouldn't.
Any other announcements? Then let's slide into public comment.
Yes, public comment. And never mind, I'll just put my my intro up. Thank you, everybody, for being here. As always, thank you for those who are going to participate in public comment. It falls to me to sort of give people the overview of the guidelines for public comment. So here we go. It's an opportunity for us to hear from you on the issues in Brookline that matter to you. We have a few rules. Each person speaking tonight is limited to 3 minutes. You don't need to use the entire time, but you may if you like. Please refrain from personal attacks and from addressing personnel issues. Members of the public sometimes raise questions during public comment. We may be able to provide an answer, but we are more likely to work with staff to get a more thorough answer. We'll let you know when you have 30 seconds remaining, and when your time is up, please conclude your remarks at that time. And if you have more to say, you are welcome to send an email to board members expressing your thoughts in detail. And Devin, who's first on our list?
The first person signed up for public comment is Michelle Simon. You've been promoted to a panelist. You can unmute and share your video if you're comfortable, and your 3 minutes will begin.
Hi, thank you for allowing me to talk tonight. My name is Michelle Simon. I'm a Pierce parent and a special education teacher in a neighboring
Hey,
community.
Michelle, I'm gonna ask you to take a pause real quick. Thanks for your patience.
I just said that.
So try that again.
Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay. Hi, thank you for hearing me out tonight and allowing me to come and speak. I'm a Pierce parent and a special education teacher in a neighboring community. I am really concerned that our school, our Pierce Elementary School, lacks the infrastructure to teach all students regardless of disability. Our children deserve a safe and healthy school building, and delays in the vote will impact the reopening of an accessible, inclusive school for our community. What message are we sending if we do not put this vote forward at the earliest possible date? It should be the highest priority to provide an inclusive, quality education for all members of our Pierce community. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The next person signed up for public comment is Lisa Sears. I'm promoting you to a panelist now. Hi, Lisa. You've been promoted to a panelist. You can unmute and share your video if you're comfortable. Your 3 minutes will begin.
Hi, thank you so much for allowing me the opportunity to testify tonight. My name is Lisa Sears and I live at 21 Kent Street. I'm the parent of a kindergartner at Pierce and also the BEEP PTO co-chair. And I've been a member of the Brookline Public Schools community for 4 years, ever since my son started BEEP, and I appreciate the town's commitment to all of its students. I'm testifying today to encourage you to support the Pierce override and place it before voters in a January election or as soon as possible. While I myself have never been inside of Pierce, I'm aware of the conditions inside, and to me, it is an equity issue. I believe that all of the children in town, including Brookline Village, deserve access to a school that meets current educational standards and is ADA compliant. No children should be forced to learn in a subpart environment, including classrooms that don't have walls and that aren't handicapped accessible. And that's why I support this renovation. I hope that you'll join me in supporting this and voting to move it forward as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. At this time, there are 20 attendees. No one is using the hand raise or Q&A feature.
Thank you, Devin. So we will go into miscellaneous. I will move approval of the meeting minutes from our September 13th meeting. Got it.
Testing. All right, I'm testing. Thanking everyone for their patience. So sound in Zoom is fine, but sound in the room is echoing. Eric, just so you know. How do you want to proceed? Are you okay with the slight echo in the room?
Let's give it 2 minutes and then
I don't hear an echo from here. It's when Devin speaks that there's an echo. It may be the nature of the control, the host computer.
Is it echoing now?
is it echoing now?
Testing 1, 2, 3. Is it echoing in the audience, the whole audience?
No.
No.
Let's go.
So where is it echoing?
Testing room audio, testing room audio. Check, check, check.
Massachusetts School Building Authority on behalf of the school, of the select board. I will move executing and approving authorization for a master lease purchase with KS State Bank with an annual cost of $363,750 over a 3-year period with a 3.872 interest rate. Wow, interest rates are rising. For a total of $1,051,075.41 for 7 heavy-duty trucks and equipment for the Department of Public Works, Highway Sanitation, a Chevy 3500 rack body truck, Chevy 6500 dump, Elgin Street sweeper, Parks and Open Space, Chevy 6500 dump truck, Toro groundsman mower, water and sewer, Chevy 3500 service truck, Chevy 5500 service truck. I will move approval of the appropriation transfer request within the planning department budget, 3,400 from permanent full-time to office furniture. And then a couple of temporary alcohol licenses, approving a temporary wine and malt beverage non-sales license to the Lars Anderson Auto Museum for Melanoma Gala to be held on September 23rd, 2022 from 5:30 PM to 10:30 PM at 15 Newton Street. 300 people are expected to attend with their sunscreen. Approving a temporary wine and malt beverage non-sales license to the Lars Anderson Auto Museum for a corporate tent dinner to be held on September 28th, 2022 from 5:30 PM to 9:30 PM at 15 Newton Street. 75 people are expected to attend. And then finally, approving a temporary wine and malt beverage non-sales license to the Lars Anderson Auto Museum for a corporate summer party to be held on September 30th, 2022 from 1 PM to 5 PM at 15 Newton Street. 200 people are expected to attend. Oh, apparently they couldn't find a summer date. All those in favor? Bernard,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Miriam,
You're on fire tonight.
And,
Aye.
Punchy, Mike,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. Okay, moving right along, do we have Chief Pastor? Oh, excellent. Good evening.
Good evening.
I almost expected to see you in your uniform. This is so unexpected.
I'd like to keep you on your toes.
So we have, I think, one promotion, a sergeant in the police department. Do you want to say a few words about that?
Sure thing. As many of you might know, on August 22nd of this year, after 33 years of service, Sergeant Tom Ferris retired from our department, which created a vacancy. Right now, that vacancy is in the traffic division. Typically, what we would do is see if there's any internal interest for that position, and then open up the opportunity for a patrol sergeant to somebody currently on the civil service eligibility list. We would choose from the top 3 of the list that was certified in December of 2020.
Excellent. So do we have a name to consider, or is this this is just authorization to pull the list?
That's
Okay.
correct.
Got it. Okay. Any questions from select board members? Bernard,
Other than to sort of congratulate Sergeant Ferris for his 33 years. of
33
service to
years.
Brookline. I didn't know him, but someone who stays around that long is someone that we should give congratulations to and thanks.
Well deserved. He was a great asset to our department. It's a big loss.
well, we anxiously await the outcome of the interviews, so be sure to get in touch with Devin when you make a selection.
Of course.
Okay, so I will move approving the request to promote a sergeant in the police department as a backfill. All those in favor? Bernard,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Miriam,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, food truck license. Now, I'm under the impression that we only have 2 food truck licensed, or is that ice cream trucks? I forget.
Do not tell my daughter, there's only 2 ice cream truck licenses.
Yeah.
We need a warrant article to change.
Do we have Debbie? Debbie, is it Sensi?
Yes, that's my wife.
Oh,
I'm
Michael. welcome. You are proposing a mobile food truck, Sensi's Canteen. Tell us
Yeah.
about it.
Yes, I'm presently in Brookline. My permit expired, so came back to the board to see if I could continue my services in Brookline. So I go around to the different construction sites in the area and feed all the construction workers.
Excellent. Any questions from select board members?
So just to clarify, this is one of the, he already holds one of the two existing licenses.
That's an ice cream truck.
Oh, I'm sorry. This,
Yeah,
okay.
sorry, I think I confused you guys. We have 2 ice cream food trucks in Brookline, but we don't have that many like food truck vendors. But he has been one of them. Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you for choosing to do business in Brookline.
Oh, it's been really good to me. Brookline people have been great.
Lots of construction going on.
Lots of construction. And that school coming up too, I guess.
Yeah, stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Any other questions or discussion about this vendor license? I will move approval of the application for a mobile food truck, Sensi's Canteen. All those in favor? Bernard,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Miriam,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. Good luck.
Thank you so much, the board, members of the board. I appreciate you being there tonight for us.
Thank you for your patience.
My pleasure.
Number 7, change of manager has actually been withdrawn. So we go to a new common vic entertainment license.
Alexandria is here.
Alexander is here.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Excellent.
So if you want to say a few words about what you're hoping we consider and approve here tonight, and also pronounce the name of the French patisserie so that I don't butcher it.
So it's crème, which is, a very French name, I guess you could say. So what we're hoping to do is open up a second location in Brookline. We opened up our first location in southern New Hampshire, and we've been, looking around, trying to find a suitable place for this second location. And Brookline really stood out to us. The people seem great. The location is great. Overall, it's just, an excellent location. So our goal is to open up this location down here, and hopefully, start selling pastries and goodies to everybody around. So
Remind me where 240 Harvard.
I'm looking right now.
It's across from Longwood, a little bit south of that.
Do you know where the subway is? The
Yes.
on-
Okay,
On.
it's not too far from the Trader Joe's.
got it. Okay. I was worried that it was going to be very close to Tate. And I'm
It's like
"Ooh,
right next to Prairie
dueling."
Fire.
Excellent. Very good location. I live on Longwood, so I'll have
Oh,
to
excellent.
come by.
Of course.
Bernard?
So you'll be near the Paris patisserie?
That's on
Correct.
Cypress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
No,
it's on,
there's a
Harvard Street across-
Creperie.
a crepes, a
Creperie.
place on Creperie, thank you. Very close to the Coolidge Corner Theater. It's the other
Right.
side of Beacon Street.
But I
Yeah.
think they're very different.
Well, my question is, how do you differ from a establishment like that?
From a creperie?
So
Right.
crepes and baked French goods differ in the fact
And
that
I apologize for my lack of French or knowledge of your business.
Oh no, it's fine, it's fine. So really, what a French bakery does different from like a creperie or bistro or anything like that is we produce baked goods such as like baguettes, croissants, multiple croissant variations. We do a lot of like smaller cakes, both in individual portions and in larger portions that you can portion out yourself. And then also espresso drinks and things like that, which I assume they sell as well. But really, the defining factor is we don't sell crepes, which they do.
Thank you.
I would think more like Clear Flower Bakery, you
Mhm.
know? A patisserie is, that's a patisserie.
Yeah. I just hope you make a chocolate croissant.
Ah.
Oh, we do. We do.
Okay, that's,
Yeah.
you got my vote.
Excellent.
Required. It's a
Requirement.
condition on the license. Excellent. So the pronunciation is Cremo,
Creme, yes.
Chemo. Okay.
Chemo.
Any other questions or discussion?
No, no.
When do you open?
So obviously construction is never linear. So we were shooting for mid-October. And we seem to be on track, although, some things always come up. It's just the way it is.
Excellent. Well, let's do our part. Let's vote on this. I will move two separate votes. The first one is moving the approval of the application for a common victular license for Camus French Patisserie LLC, doing business as Camus French Patisserie at 240 Harvard Street. Hours of operation will be Wednesday through Sunday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Seating will consist of 9 inside seats. All those in favor? Bernard?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Miriam?
Oui.
Mike?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye.
So
I
I do
will-
have to interject really quickly.
Yes, of course.
About the seating, we are actually going to be raising the capacity just a little bit from 9 seats to 16 seats. So that would be one more chair at each table. So 4 chairs per 4 tables.
So, that's not what I have in the paperwork before me. So if you want to
Yep.
do that, you're going to have to get the sign offs from the departments.
Okay.
Conditional
Okay,
upon building department, health.
Hmm.
Those are the two.
okay. So we can do a conditional vote that we would approve e- expanding the seating to, what was it, 16?
Correct, yeah.
As long as you get the approvals from health, the Department of Health and building
Yep.
departments.
Okay, perfect.
So let's
Yep.
take that as a separate vote to make it a little cleaner. All those in favor, Bernard,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Miriam,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. And then finally, I will move approval of the application for a new entertainment license, Camus French Patisserie LLC, doing business as Camus French Patisserie at 240 Harvard Street. Entertainment will consist of recorded music Wednesday through Sunday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. All those in favor, Bernard,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Miriam,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. Best of luck.
Thanks so much. Look forward to treating you guys to some coffee and pastries.
Okay, warrant article public hearings.
Starting with a discussion. You're starting with a discussion on the
Which ones we
boards,
want to take up?
unless you want to move the hearings up, but I mean, we don't have any external petitioners here, so
Okay.
however you want to take the discussion is up to you.
Is there a way that you could put the list of the warrant articles
the
up
index?
for
Yeah.
us?
Or put the link.
Yeah, let me
the
see.
link.
Yeah.
Thank you. Good idea.
So from what I remember, which feels like forever ago now, the rule of thumb that we used last time was anything that our town departments were sponsoring, we would take a position on. Anything that was controversial that affected, town departments, we would take a position on. And there was a third one.
We left out trade with Cuba under that.
What about resolutions versus warrant articles?
Well, what about bylaw changes? Got to take a position on that, right?
I mean, I'm open to like what kind of criteria we want to use.
Well, the other, I
Melissa's here, so she can.
Oh yeah, Melissa, do you remember the criteria that we used last time?
was gonna say,
I like.
So I believe that we last time basically used anything that the board sponsored, anything that was a bylaw change, and then zoning bylaws. I can pull up the index, or I have in the directory kind of a listing of the articles, and that might be the easier way, as long as it comes up on the screen clear enough. I would need to be able to share my screen though.
And then the catch-all was if one of us felt very strongly about a particular warrant article and wanted us to take it up, we would, you know,
The,
move
the,
it in.
the other possible approach to slimming down the workload, and also, giving town meeting its, sort of giving town meeting its head to do what it wants, is to refrain from, advice on resolutions.
Yeah, I think the way to approach it this time is to, let's kind of strike out what we know we don't want to take up and then back into what
Okay.
that leaves us with. So I would prefer us not to weigh in on resolutions. I would prefer us not to weigh in on things that I don't think are going to be that controversial at town meeting that should sail through. And there are a couple of warrant articles where I feel like town meeting has already weighed in on this, or the select board has already weighed in on this particular issue. So I could go either way about whether or not we want to take a position. So, should we go through all of them? How do other people feel about
I think
using
that's-
those criteria?
I'm fine with, I think as long, I'm sorry, I didn't
Well, no,
raise
I-
my hand, but
Mary, Marion first, and then I'll acknowledge. Mary.
I would say, I think as long as, to me, I think those are all good. I agree with them. And as long as we have that, not that I actually can think of any of these that I want to do this for, but just reserving the kind of privilege, select board privilege to say, I want the select board to review this as a select board member.
I think that covers, my concern, because there are some resolutions that are attached to bylaw changes. So, where there is that connection, we should just make sure that we look at the whole picture, the resolution and the bylaw.
Are you talking about the pilot agreement?
I think that's one of them. Don't snicker.
Any thoughts from John?
I'm looking at the language of the current section 2.5.2 of the bylaws, which came in our packet. And I'm just wondering if we have a little bit of a problem here with the actual wording under which we conduct hearings on warrant articles. We're proposing under Article 5 of the warrant to strike the word all from the language that says at the end of the sentence, the select board and the advisory committee shall prepare written reports stating their recommendations and the reasons therefore for all articles in the warrant for a town meeting. So Article 5 proposes to strike the word all. I would love to have some kind of an interpretation from our town council as to whether that unburdens us of having a public hearing on each article in the warrant, because the prior sentence says the select board and the advisory committee each shall hold at least one duly noticed public hearing prior to a final vote of the select board or advisory committee. And, does that essentially imply by not taking a position, are we taking a vote not to take a position, and do we have to have a hearing before we do that? I'm sorry if this sounds complicated, but the way these
John,
things are-
so if I
Yeah,
may.
go ahead, Melissa, please, yes.
We did this last year with town council, and the practice that we established was to have a public hearing before taking this vote on what articles are going to be considered. So you would have the discussion, you would decide which articles you wanted to advance, you would hold a public hearing on that decision, and then you would vote to basically schedule the articles that you want to take up. So
And-
the public hearing would still happen. It would just be that the warrant article that got filed was about having the requirement for recommendations on all the articles. So public hearings are only required when you're going to be taking votes on the articles. And the warrant article that we filed is to absolve the board from the requirement of having to make recommendations on all the articles.
And I'll just say two things. One, we're going to be talking about warrant Article 5 in its own public hearing in just a minute.
Right.
So maybe we can get into the nitty grittiness of, I get, that it does play into the discussion here, but questions for town council who just walked in. Don't worry, Joe, you don't have to get up right now. We're, I think, gonna stick to which warrant articles we want to weigh in on. And I'm going to then talk about the specific warrant Article 5 in a separate conversation. But I also don't think it's a good idea for us to get away from having public hearings. Like, we can slim down which warrant articles we want to take up, but whichever warrant articles we take up, we should still have public hearings for. I don't think that's being proposed.
Right.
Right, oh, yeah. Yeah, I think we have to, and we should anyway.
Right.
Mike just said that we have to and we should.
Yep, the warrant article that was filed was only to address the requirement on recommendations on all articles, not on public hearings.
So we'll talk about this in a little more detail when we get to warrant Article 5. But right now, we're just talking about the broad strokes, what kind of criteria we want to use to pare the whole list down this time. So resolutions, unless they're tied to a bylaw change that's being proposed in the same warrant?
Right.
Okay,
And of course, the select board has the option of pulling in other resolutions if they
right.
feel they're important.
Yep. Okay, so that takes what, at least 8 off the table, maybe?
So just for clarity's sake, can we just go through the list and we'll do yes, nos on that?
Okay,
I think that would be helpful for me.
okay, let's start at the beginning.
Okay. Start populating some of them.
Okay, so it looks like warrant article 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're all sponsored by either us or one of our town departments. So that makes the list.
We voted them already.
And
Yep.
we've already taken positions on them, so that's good.
So Article 7.
Article 7, this has come up at town meeting before, but it does impact our staff, or does it impact the town clerk's staff more
Both.
so? Both. Okay. I feel like we should probably weigh in on this particular warrant article.
Is it my computer or is there something funny with how this is showing up?
This one is about publishing and distributing hard copies of certain reports.
Yeah. Oh, I'm having some.
Oh, let me take off this. Okay, so now snow removal is the next one.
I almost don't want to weigh into it, but
But it's a bylaw change, right?
it is a bylaw change, and this would have a significant impact on our DPW. So I think we have to take a position. How do other people feel? I'm seeing some nods of agreement. Okay. Bylaw to create a tree preservation bylaw.
I think it depends on the text, which I can get right here.
I mean, yes, it's a bylaw, but I also don't think it's going to be controversial.
Yeah. Unless the text looks very, looks like it warrants some concern, then let's pass on.
This is one of those, we'll take it up if, something develops and you know, it becomes controversial. But for the time being, probably not.
Okay. The next,
Okay,
next 3-year demolition delay, and I think they are going to be controversial.
Mhm.
yes,
Yeah.
indeed.
Oh, yeah, the next three, yeah.
So are those yeses for the next
Yeah,
3?
they're right.
I would say yes,
Yeah.
yes.
They're all related.
I
They,
mean, we
you
could
know,
take them all together.
yeah,
pretty
take them
much.
together. I think that's the way the moderator will probably do
Yeah.
it at town meeting.
Okay, and then pilot agreements, we should probably weigh in on that. Since that's our domain.
Then we
Okay,
have all marijuana articles. There are 6.
yeah.
I don't see any.
I
Hmm.
would prefer not to take a position on these, but
Yeah, I'm not sure that's something we can do.
I
or
know.
avoid.
I agree. Oh, you mean to not take this?
I don't think, I mean, we should take a position, and these are gonna be hot button items.
they are zoning bylaws.
Okay,
Thank you, Regina. Yeah, thank you, Regina.
Um, I don't know that they're going to be that controversial. There's town meeting by and large leans towards legalization of marijuana as the town does. And there are certainly some people who are concerned about restricting that legalization to as much as possible. But I don't know that that what we say is going to affect that debate. That's more of an emotional debate than anything else.
yeah, but we can put in our view of like taking the power to set those numbers out of our hands and putting in the voters' hands.
Well, we haven't got the power to change the number of retail establishments. There are a certain number of licenses, and that's what's being brooded about here is to restrict the bylaw. Not we'd have to conform to the existing bylaw anyway.
Could we put this in the category of tabling it for now and seeing how the discussion plays out and revisiting it?
I know.
If I recall correctly, isn't there a committee that has been assigned to this issue that is still pending a report?
Yes, however, I did speak to the chair of that committee and he said that he didn't view capping the number of licenses as part of their charge. So I kind of think that Bernard is right. We do
Right.
have to take a position, but I don't want to spend too much time on it. So if we can maybe do it earlier on our schedule.
I'll check in with the petitioner.
Okay, thank you very much.
So it's clear that Chaz was paying attention at last town meeting.
At least we can group them all together in one.
One hearing.
It's all the same
Yeah.
petitioners, so one
Yeah,
hearing
one
for
hearing.
all of them.
You know, it's funny, licensing has become my least favorite part of the select board, but we also should protect our authority on licensing.
Yeah.
The next 9 are home rule petitions from Ziab and Jesse Gray.
So this may be a little controversial, but what if we don't take a position on these? I don't think that they're gonna be particularly controversial at town meeting.
I agree.
Other people's thoughts?
Well, may I?
Yeah. yes,
Um,
John.
I think we should take a position on them.
27 we do.
Brookline, to its credit, to its great credit, I would say, has assumed a leadership position on these types of issues. And I don't want anybody to misinterpret that we're not taking a position on these as a sudden waning of enthusiasm. I'm inspired, frankly, by the work that's been done, and I'll take the opportunity right now to thank the authors of these and to thank the Zero Emissions Advisory Board for taking them up and for recommending them to town meeting. And yeah, I don't think it'll take too much time for us to just consider them as a all at once and to forward them to the legislature with our enthusiastic support. But we have to take a position if we're going to do that.
So I'll just point this out. I assume that these will pass at town meeting. That will then trigger a home rule petition that will come from this board. And we can use very enthusiastic language when we draft that letter. The thing that I'm a little worried about is we've got about 7. I would be open to the zoning bylaw one. But
Yeah.
with each warrant article that we take up and we vote on, then Melissa has to write up a report. And I think we can do what you're wanting to, John, without putting more work on a staff member. Mike?
I suggest that we just take 27 and maybe when this comes up, perhaps when the first of them comes up, it would be sensible for someone from one member of the select board to stand up and say that, generally speaking, the select board has been supportive of these sorts of things, and if they are passed, we will forward them to the legislature with a strongly favorable letter.
Miriam?
I think that's right. I see what John is saying, but I also I think the opportunity for us to show our enthusiasm is the letter that goes with the home rule petition. In the meantime, if we take up 27, we show our support without, all the, because let's face it, nothing we do is quick. So the idea that we'll do this quickly is a fabulous pipe dream. So, but 27, it's a zoning bylaw. We should discuss it. And then I agree. I think there's implied support here for all of the rest. I agree. I don't think it's going to have any trouble passing town meeting. And then we get our opportunity to show our support through the home rule petition process.
And John, you can contact Kate right now and sign up to speak on all of these warrant articles.
Kate, are you listening?
Any other comments? Are you satisfied with that, John, or?
Yeah. I hate to think that it would unnecessarily burden Melissa. And I think Mike had a suggestion for how we don't have to have a separate select board report on each one, but I think we can signal our enthusiastic support for the efforts of the Zero Emissions Advisory Board in these directions.
Okay.
And maybe just say for the reasons cited by the Zero Emissions Advisory Board. Yeah.
Okay. So next,
This is a resolution creating a commission for Black and Brown residents.
I don't think this will be controversial.
I hope not.
What do people think?
I could comment
John?
on a couple of things. I don't know for sure. I think it could turn out that there is a little bit of discussion behind the scenes as to what is the what groups are covered by the mandate of Black and Brown. And I think that's going to require some working out as to exactly, what groups are covered under such a commission. And I think the other issue that might arise, because we now have a Black and Brown club, I've actually discussed this with one of the sponsors of the article. I don't know whether anyone else would be concerned. Myself might be a little bit concerned that there would be confusion between what is the Black and Brown Club, which has now gotten some ARPA funding, and what is the Black and Brown Commission. And I don't know whether the sponsors are going to want to revisit the question of how they define what the title of the commission is. but I think it's something that's worthy of discussion and will probably be part of the behind the scenes sort of discussions that take place on this article.
So why don't we table that? I know CTOS is taking it up and maybe we can wait to see their reaction. And then if we feel the board needs to take it up, we can put that in front of you.
Yeah, because what I totally understand what you're saying, John, but that's the kind of philosophical question that, it is town meeting. So I'm trying to figure out, does it necessarily involve the select board? So let's table it for right now and see whether or not our role in such a commission creation becomes a little more clear. Human trafficking with regards to in-holder
Wait, we have
requirements.
31.
Oh,
Oh, we're taking that up.
Most
So we're
assuredly,
taking that up tonight. So that's our
Yes.
foregone
Today.
conclusion.
Yeah.
it is a bylaw.
This is one that I think
Which
it, ar-
one?
it, ar-
32?
yeah, 32. It arises from concern about the new hotel that's being put together on Webster Street. And I think we have to, I think it's something we have to deal with and provide an opinion on, provide guidance on to town meeting.
I agree.
I was really hoping to avoid this one, but I
Yeah.
think you're right.
Yeah, no, this is,
How do we feel about beekeeping?
Oh, we love bees, but I don't know that we, but it's a zoning bylaw change.
I don't think it's gonna be controversial,
I
but
hope not.
Okay, AC is already taking it up tonight, so you might have a motion ready to go for next week. So
What am I saying?
AC is taking it
No,
up tonight,
I
so
just wanna see if we
um,
can get-
let's kind of table it, see how it, all plays out. I'm not opposed to taking it up, but
so you want to wait and see what the buzz is.
No. That's so sweet of you.
oh, honey.
That was dangerous.
What have I gotten into?
All right.
Okay, so, okay, the bylaws relating to town meeting members with financial interests. I really don't want us to get involved in town meeting business and how they want to conduct themselves. But how do other people feel?
I'm happy with hands off on this.
Me too. It's
Anyone
internal
feel
affairs of their
particular?
operations.
I have an opinion, but on that particular warrant article, I support it, but I wouldn't argue with the select board itself, didn't wanna. I'll have my own opportunity to speak on behalf of it if I want to, on behalf of
Yeah.
myself.
I think I would prefer for us to not tell town meeting how to conduct itself.
Especially since we're asking them not to tell us how to conduct it.
Exactly. So is that 2 of them? Yes, requires speakers at town meeting to disclose, yeah. Okay, so then the resolution regarding the town, this
That's
is the
the final
pilot
one,
thing
yeah.
as well. I guess because it's tied to a bylaw change, we should take that up.
So there were
Or
two
can we-
pilots. One was a bylaw change and one was a resolution urging the town to create a committee, a moderators committee.
Yeah,
Oh, moderators.
it's a moderators committee. I would say that even though they both touch on pilot, they are fairly distinct, right? The one on pilot, the one on pilot is a change in the bylaws to require disclosure of pilot, which is currently not disclosed to the public. This is about convening a moderators committee to review the pilot policies of the town, along with several other towns, suggest improvements to Brookline's pilot policies and any other related topics. There's a catch-all clause there. I think reading that language, it falls into the same category that you just described, Miriam, which is something that involves the town meeting's internal affairs, although obviously it's your call.
Well,
And
we,
I'll just remind the board that the pilot policy is a select board policy.
That
right,
is true.
yeah, well, I'm really torn because I don't necessarily, what are the words? I welcome, another set of eyes to review our, pilot program. And I really didn't want the select board to have to create another committee. So, if the moderator is told that she needs to create a committee, she has a lot more flexibility to do that. Do we need to weigh in? Yes, it's part of our, thing, but Miriam.
I mean, I think we're splitting the difference. If we weigh in on the prior one and not, we get our voice, we are part of the discussion, we don't need to repeat ourselves for the resolution.
I kind of feel that way too, but Bernard, you were
Well,
worried.
I think, it may just be more economical to discuss the two together. Because one's gonna have an impact on the other. And
Is
I
it
don't
the
think
same
that requires
petitioners?
a whole, pardon?
Is it the same?
It is the same petitioners, yes.
And I don't think that that's gonna be a long discussion. Or at least the resolution part's not gonna really add a whole lot of time to the discussion.
And it would be helpful if I were still a town meeting member. I think it would be helpful to hear from the select board that we don't oppose a moderators committee to look at this particular issue. Any other comments from this side of the room? John? No?
No, no.
Okay.
I'll just leave it at that.
Mike?
No.
I have a comment on the next one.
Oh, okay. So we'll take this up because it is related to a bylaw change in another warrant article, and it's the same petitioners, and it does involve something that the select board has the authority on. Okay, Article 37 regarding the school department budget. Michael.
So the resolution is asks request that the advisory committee bring an outside consultant in to review the school's budget. And then the last bit of it is oversee the budget review with the objective, which is the subject of the article, with the objective of applying the consultant's recommendations in time for the development of the FY25 school budget. And whether one regrets it or not, state law divides responsibility for setting up the school budget, or divides responsibility between the superintendent and the school committee for this. There's really no role for the advisory committee in looking at line items in the school budget. And I'd wager a croissant at the new creperie or new bakery, I beg your pardon, that this would be booted up by the Attorney General. And I think we need to, at the very least, make that point, assuming that that's a valid point, that we talk to town council, and not get ourselves all twisted up in something that isn't going anywhere.
So is that an advocacy for taking it up?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. it's
So
advocacy
Mike, I
for-
don't know that this would be submitted to the Attorney General because it's a non-binding resolution.
Ah, thank you very much.
Ah,
Okay,
so in
you're
that
right.
case, let's
You're
skip
right.
it.
All right, that changes my point of view, I guess. Well,
It does set a precedent. And this is just the first step in a number of steps along the lines of sort of intruding into schools.
yeah, I'm quite sure that the school committee would lie down in front of the bulldozer on this, but
I honestly think they should be the entity that signs up to speak, against it.
Yeah.
I don't know whether or not we should take a hard line on this. I think the points that you raised
Okay.
are absolutely correct.
Yep.
And I think that they will be raised by town meeting members.
Yep. Be interesting to see what comes out of the advisory committee on this.
Yes, yes, it will. Any other comments on this particular resolution? Seeing none, let's move on to the celebration of Asian American and Pacific Islander heritage. Was that month?
Yes,
Yes,
I hope this is not controversial.
I hope it is not controversial as well. Is it something that we want to take a position on?
I wonder if there's a place, it's sort of like the warrant articles on climate change. That is it possible for us, without having a public hearing, to stand up, make a statement supporting this at town meeting, so that we don't have a formal report? It seems to me like that should be feasible.
Why don't we do this? Cause I think what you're suggesting kind of skirts, you know, cause if it's the board, then, you know, we
Then
would
we have to
have
take a
vote,
vote. Yeah, okay.
But what we could do is do our own proclamation. Right? And
Okay.
that could be in miscellaneous at our next meeting.
Yep.
Good call.
And then we can make sure that one of us signs up and reads the
that
proclamation on the floor of town meeting.
Deal.
Okay. Okay. Golf course. It is a non-binding resolution, but we probably would have to throw some money towards the study. What do people think?
The way it's phrased, town meeting urges the Parks and Recreation Commission to broaden the scope of the golf course master plan and use a portion of the 475K master plan funds. It's a request.
I guess I would like to have the opportunity to have Lee Jackson or whoever is in charge of the golf course to,
Me.
you know, explain to town meeting the benefits we receive from the golf course. Because I think there's a feeling in town that, you know, this is really a waste of money. That it's costing us when it's not. So I think it'd be good to just be able to get the facts out on the table on this issue.
I'd also like to dig a little deeper into like the strategic asset plan for, you know, all of our assets. I assume that we have done a lot of stuff concerning like how can we increase usage or fees or, you know, whatever when it comes to the golf course or other town property. So I think that would be a worthwhile conversation to engage with staff about. Any other comments, John?
I think this article is, you know, one that everybody's going to basically decide on their own sort of basis of how they feel about golf, you know, how they feel about this article. What bothers me a little bit about it is it's sort of in the same category as some other items that have been brought to town meeting in recent years, that put town meeting in the position of basically making decisions, or at least taking part in the decision-making process on, for example, in this case, the use of a town asset, the golf course, which is actually already assigned to the Park and Rec Commission. And there actually is ongoing right now by CTOS and in particular Dick Benka, a very thorough review of the somewhat murky situation that exists vis-a-vis the lines of authority over parks and recreation that are tied to the circumstance that there is a separate Park and Recreation Commission And there is a director of parks. And then there is a DPW, there's a director of recreation, excuse me. And then there's a DPW that has authority over parks. And all of this is being sort of looked at in this review by CTOS. But the bottom line of it is we need to get clarification as to the decision-making authority of the Park and Rec Commission over something like the golf course. And if they are already embarked on a master plan process for the future of a 18-hole golf course, and we have assigned to Park and Rec Commission the authority to make that decision, what happens when town meeting starts basically going in the direction of, I'm not saying this would go so far as to, but going in the direction of trying to question and redirect the decision already made by the Park and Rec Commission. That's the part of this that bothers me. And I do think it requires some consideration and some discussion by the select board with the help of our town council and with the help of CTOS, frankly, and the work that they're doing on all of the statutes and the history of the statutes that govern who actually makes decisions about things like the golf course.
Okay, so I'm hearing that we should take it up, but we'd like other boards to kind of weigh in first. So this will kind of go towards the end.
So I assume that would be the case for number 40 as well.
I
Similar
would
top.
prefer us not to take that up. We've
agree.
already been there and it's a resolution. But what do other people think?
I'm fine with that.
Anyone
On
feel
number
strongly?
40,
Yeah, the outdoor pool.
it's somewhat in the same category that I was just placing the golf course decision, I think. You know, the place to go to appeal to, for there to be an outdoor pool is the Park and Rec Commission. And I'm not sure why we should sort of do an end run, if that's what this is, around that process. Town meeting is kind of being substituted for the Park and Rec Commission, it seems to me.
Yes, the difference between 39 and 40 from my perspective is that the golf course already exists. And I think there's a
Good point.
lot of misinformation or lack of understanding of what we're already doing and what the Parks and Recreation Commission has the authority to do. Whereas this is to study something that is going to cost a lot of money. And as you put it, kind of an end run around our capital investment plan. So town meeting has already weighed in on this. So have we. Nothing has changed.
Okay, I'm assuming that's a no.
So the one thing I would say is that this is a resolution that calls for $75,000 to be spent. If the resolution passes, the question is for us whether we will feel constrained to put that $75,000 in the budget, or whether we'll feel free to not take the request to do so. If we feel that we would not want to spend that $75,000, then it seems to me we need to take a position on this.
Miriam?
Why? I mean, can't we then discuss it after
After the fact.
after the fact?
Okay, all right. It's not a, you know, it is a small dent in the budget if it's incorporated into the Parks and Rec budget.
I just feel like, why have the discussion if we don't have to have the
If we,
discussion?
okay, all right.
Right? If it doesn't pass, then then we don't have to have the discussion. And if it does pass,
Then we have to deal
then we
with it.
have the discussion.
Fair
Yeah,
enough.
Mike, I
Okay,
usually do a
I accept
recap.
that.
I usually do a recap memo at the end after town meeting so that the board is aware of what obligations come out of town meeting. So that would be a
Yeah.
good point for that discussion. I haven't really looked at 41 too closely, so I'm not sure what it's trying to do. But it's also
Melissa,
another.
before we move on, Chaz wanted to say something.
Oh, no, it's okay.
Sure, I can't see faces. It's too
Yeah,
far away.
no,
Sorry.
it's okay. No worries. And I don't want to cut you off. But just quickly on this, Mike, to answer your question, I'm happy to get town council's opinion on this if you'd like. But my layperson's reading of this is now therefore be it resolved, the town meeting calls for a long overdue feasibility study for the development of, and be it further resolved that the $75,000 for the cost of the study shall be included. So as I read those in conjunction together, it says that if you are to follow the resolution, if you were to follow the resolution's guidance
Yeah.
and call for and adopt that call for the study, then you would potentially be looking at something more like, okay, if this, then that. That's how I read that.
Okay.
We're happy to get town council's opinion on that, and we can see what's going on.
I don't think there's any point to belaboring no point to belaboring the point. It's fine. Yeah.
Okay, moving on to 41.
So I haven't read this one, so I'm not sure exactly what it's trying to do, but it's also a non-binding resolution.
Yeah, well, it calls on it calls for the creation of an affordable housing overlay district study committee.
Select Board Study Committee, does it say?
Yes, the select board will create and charge an affordable housing overlay district study committee.
Maybe it's my old age, but I really am starting to become very opposed to putting together study committees that are not being driven by select board
Or town departments.
or town departments.
Do we know? Do you know how Kara Bruton feels about this at all, or like?
I don't really want to put her in the position of having to defend whether or not she can staff this committee or whether she's supportive.
Right.
I think, if pressed, she would say, of course, like whatever the board wants to do, I will do
Yeah.
whatever you want me to do.
Mhm.
But we've all, I think, experienced getting the result of town meeting, creating a select board committee, and then we have to put together the charge, and then we have to recruit people, and then we have to either serve on it or it makes for a lot of work, extra work for select board. If they want to study this, they can do that and then propose like a bylaw change.
Mhm.
Now, does the warrant article discuss in any way what an overlay district would look like?
My
That could be a lot of
understanding
things.
of overlay districts is you have to use, one of the 40 alphabet soup.
An affordable housing overlay district, she suggests a little more.
An affordable housing overlay district in very broad terms is effectively a means of eliminating zoning restrictions and allowing the construction of housing as of right if certain affordable housing conditions are met. So it's basically a means of making building affordable housing easier, provided that the conditions of the overlay are satisfied.
So like a 40B without the market rate housing.
Mhm. Right, Cambridge has what they call 100% affordable housing overlay district, in which if 100% of the housing being constructed either for rental or sale falls within a set margin of area median income, then certain restrictions are removed and it is permitted as of right.
I mean, we have a zoning study commencing. I think that this is a little premature, but that's me. Anyone else? John?
Yeah, we have a zoning study commencing and we have something called the Housing Production Plan, which is, being worked on by the Housing Advisory Board. And I think unfortunately that this, again, falls into that category of, okay, it's a resolution. What real impact does it have? If people want to propose an affordable housing overlay for Brookline, they can do so. They can draft, a zoning change that would put into place some sort of their version of an overlay. And that would happen a lot quicker than asking a reluctant select board and on really no authority, directing the select board to do something that at this point we prefer to have done as part of the upcoming, zoning, comprehensive zoning plan, and as part of the ongoing work of the housing production plan and the ongoing mission of the Housing Advisory Board. So why try to get something done through a board which didn't initiate it when you could initiate it yourselves? And that's kind of my message to people behind these kinds of resolutions. It creates a lot of complications when people sort of go do an end run around the processes already in place, and then basically try to use a resolution to compel the select board to do something the select board's not that interested in prioritizing right now. So,
Mike?
This is an interesting one. There are a couple things. One is, of course, there are other efforts going on. One might say that we would be better off spending our energy on the Babcock housing, Babcock affordable
Street,
housing
yep.
effort, and finishing the work that needs to be done on Kent Street to see whether anything can be done with that, whether that can be made economically feasible. So there are some specific things that we are in fact doing and that we should push forward. And indeed, one of the petitioners, at least, is my co-chair on the Babcock parking lot study. So I think that it's better to put energy into something that's specific. On the other hand, if there's a feeling on the part of town meeting as a whole that an affordable housing overlay district is something that they'd be willing to consider, I think that's something that we pay attention to. I'm not sure the town meeting will. I'm a little reluctant to let this one go. And I appreciate the fact that we're not just our letting it go doesn't have any real effect on it, beyond giving town meeting an opportunity to hear a specific opinion from us. That's probably not very different than what's just been voiced here.
So my concern is, I get why, and I think this board is very supportive of affordable housing. My concern is that this is another example of petitioners not wanting to do the actual work of coming up with a proposal. And they then say, oh, but there's a select board, and if we just get this over the line at town meeting, then the select board will do it for us.
Or then that a select board study committee will do it for us. It's not the select board itself has to do it.
But a select board member will have to put together the charge and
Yeah.
recruit and chair and, make sure that
Okay.
everything happens.
Yeah, there's no question that it's a bit of a shortcut.
Wait,
Miriam and then Chaz.
so setting aside, I'm in favor of an affordable housing overlay district. Setting that aside, I feel like there's this damned if you do, damned if you don't situation happening here for these petitioners. That I just want to say that if they try to do this just as a petitioning as a bylaw, people will be saying, where's the process? Where's the process? And so here now they're trying to go through the process of having a resolution and having a study committee and then creating the bylaw. And we're saying, no, just do the warrant article. So I feel like they're stuck either way. Not that I really want another select board committee. I get that. But I also feel like that I don't know that the answer is to tell them to just, write the bylaw. So we kind of have to figure out how we want. Do we want them to go through the process? And what does that look like? Or do we want them to write the bylaw? But either way, they're going to get dinged, right? Somebody's going to complain that either they didn't follow the process or that they're circumventing the process. So I just think we have to be really careful. We're putting them in a situation they can't win as petitioners. And I would say too, just because I know these petitioners, these folks are people who'd be happy to write a bylaw. They don't have any compunction to put out there what they think we should be doing. So I just wanted to say that.
Chaz?
One, I just want to remind and think through the process in terms of the question on the table here is whether whether you are going to take this up for making a recommendation. And to that end, I think it's kind of a mirror image of what Heather has just said. We in town administration and the departments are actively working to better communicate the processes that we are currently going through with particular regard to issues of serious town concern. And that includes things like pest control, rodents in particular, and that includes things like affordable housing, issues big and small. We want to be more communicative with the town about the behind the scenes processes that are occurring, because I think warrant articles like this are brought out of a sense of frustration, that they think that because there is no communication, that there is no action going on. And we internally are working hard to ensure that misapprehension is dispelled. Because there is a lot of really good work being done by Kara's team on affordable housing. And that team, needs our support and, the support of the administrative staff, and we are supporting them. And we want to make sure that the town knows that too. So to that end, I think it could be helpful in terms of thinking about these resolutions more broadly, as John said, to think about ways in which we, the town employees, can be better messengers of what the processes in place currently are, so that they have an understanding of what we're doing towards this. And that, I think, may lower the need for resolutions suggesting that the select board create committees to focus on these issues, because I think these petitioners raise a very salient point about the need for affordable housing and the need for processes to build affordable housing in Brookline. But that work is ongoing, and we want to invite them to understand what's going on. So hopefully our work as we move into town meeting season of being more communicative of what's happening behind the scenes on this process will alleviate some of these issues. So it may not be necessary if the board in its discretion wants to say, let's see what the town staff bring to the table for these folks. And if they still think that this is necessary, then we can take it up and discuss it.
So I think that we should probably weigh in on this. And what I think the discussion will probably highlight is that there is work going on by staff. And if this were to pass, what I would say as a board is that we have some other process going on, and that we will get to this after certain processes play out. But this, expectation that they pass a warrant article and that we have a committee charge and appointment within like 6 weeks, it's not realistic. We blow past these deadlines because each one of us is on 5 or 6 different committees. So I just really want town meeting to better understand the work that they create for us when something like this is proposed. John?
Yeah, I want to sort of second what Miriam said, and she makes an important point, which I need to be conscious of, when I say things such as I said. Yes, in a sense, I was saying, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. And that's not really the appropriate message to send to people who work hard, present an article, and in good faith, want to have a town meeting discussion of something that is extremely important to them. I recognize all of those things. I think we're stuck where we are because we're stuck where we are. What hasn't been said plainly in this discussion, and I'll say it right now, is that the select board has had many occasions recently to ask ourselves the question, what if we just essentially ignore something that is passed as a resolution of town meeting? Isn't that an option? And I don't like being, put into the position where at some point in the future, the only option that I find acceptable is to simply ignore something that has been adopted by town meeting as a resolution. I'd like to think we can get on the same page on these things, but when you've already got a housing production plan process underway, when you've already got intentions to do studies, we've got a study of Boylston Street East underway. We're thinking of going to a study of Boylston Corridor West to look at housing issues there. When you've already got town meeting the year before, or the town meeting before, adopting a plan for there to be a comprehensive plan. At some point, if people then keep piling on to all of those things, yet another committee to go off in yet another direction, studying the same thing, but under a slightly different, with a slightly different goal, eventually your select board will have to say, we just don't agree that this is something we should prioritize right now because we've got too many other things that you already asked us to prioritize before this. And I don't feel comfortable that we might arrive at that, but that's kind of why I'm saying, yeah, as difficult as it is to hear that this isn't a good approach, and sometimes just proposing a warrant article or a zoning change that hasn't been thoroughly vetted and doesn't come from a place of careful study and preparation, that also isn't a very good approach. But that is the reality of the situation we're in right now. These are complicated issues. It took Cambridge 10 years to come up with their affordable housing overlay. I'm not sure we're ready to launch another 10-year effort right now when we're spread so thin with these efforts that are already underway.
Mike?
So I hope this is the final word. We're already debating this issue. We may as well debate it formally.
Good point.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a public hearing. So any members of the public who wish to speak? I see Regina Frawley coming up to the dais.
Regina Frawley from Precinct 16. First of all, congratulations. This is one of the most model deliberation in public that I've seen this board do. So first of all, thank you for doing a true deliberation in public and what you think of these articles and why you think of this article. Having said that, I don't think I think the whole discussion is moot for the moment. And that's because the word shall legally is still on the books, and you can't change, pick and choose, cherry pick until after town meeting agrees to change warrant Article 5. You actually are stuck between now and after town meeting with actually having an opinion on every single one. And by the way, if you have good minutes, a lot of what you have said will apply. You don't even have to do much more, but you do have to hold the public hearings unless there's a change legally in Article 5. And I would like town council to come out because you and I, Heather, have disagreed about the word shall. I've written several articles and worked very closely with town councils, 2 of them so far. And they were very clear that if I really wanted something to be a binding thing, I had to use the word shall. Shall is the strongest word you can use in a bylaw, not will, not should, but shall. So if you don't agree with that, town council should come and go on the record right now, because I think this is the crux of the problem. I don't think you have a choice. You have to actually weigh in on every one of these, but I love some of your thinking and I appreciate that you did it publicly.
Regina, if I just may respond to that, I know Joe is at the advisory committee meeting, so he's not going to be able to weigh in tonight. We did run this process for the last town meeting by town council when we did it. I believe Joe also thinks that we are complying with the bylaws. I know Sandy disagreed with that, and so we filed this article as a way of kind of boot and suspender approach here, but we will confer with Joe, get a recommendation for the board, and if that is not the case, we'll put these back on the docket for review.
Thanks, Melissa. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Melissa. Any other members of the public?
At this time, there are 7 attendees. No one has used the hand raise or Q&A feature to indicate they'd like to make a comment.
What with this riveting conversation? People are missing out. Um,
I just want to point out more people were attending when they couldn't hear anything from the meeting.
Okay, so I hesitate to close the public hearing.
You can, because technically that was the public hearing on
Right,
your,
Yeah.
on our.
and then
deliberations.
we'll open up again for 5
Yes.
and
Yeah.
subsequent.
I'm gonna leave you for those articles because I have to jump into AC, but Devin and Devin's able to help you navigate the next few articles.
Okay, thank you so much, Melissa, and best of luck with the
Thank you.
AC.
With the financial reason.
Okay, so I will close the public hearing. How do people feel about voting?
It was 25 articles that you had determined,
Yes.
and we have those documented.
I'm comfortable voting.
I'm comfortable.
Okay, so I will propose that we vote on the warrant articles that we decided to take a position on as documented by Melissa Goff during this board meeting tonight. Any questions or comments before I call the roll?
If I may, just,
Sure.
just 'cause I worry that some people might misunderstand what we're doing. We're not voting up or down on any articles except on the notion of only taking a position on 25 articles specifically and not all articles. But this is not a vote up or down on any of them substantively. Yeah,
It's which articles we will want to take up
right.
at future meetings, including this one. Okay, all those in favor, Bernard,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Miriam,
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. I'm gonna step away for a bio break. Actually, can we do that? Maybe like a 2-minute bio break, then we'll reconvene. Okay,
Cool.
let's do that.
And then.
We don't include the index in.
Is there, I've got this stuff here. Can I tie into a printer? No, I can't tie into it.
No, I'll do it.
All right.
Okay. Can you walk and talk with me?
If Chaz and somehow figure out why the technical people have no responsibility for school pandemic. However, earned his job as. Is this going to be? Yeah. You know, I think what happened here, the second one, the echo. I think after them telling us what the words to audio. Yeah. And Zoom, she had. You know, I was wondering about that, but it's hard for me to know with that. Because I think, yeah, he was very something like that. Yes, he was. It wasn't saying, did you go? Yeah, I didn't. And they've had that issue. It's something. Some switch.